Hello, today I will explain the OCD cycle. It is very important cycle. Why? Because if you understand this cycle, then you can uh, diagnose if you have OCD or not. And this cycle will describe briefly the behavior of the thoughts and your behavior as a response to these OCD thoughts or urges, the OCD obsessions in general. Uh, in this cycle, you will have in the beginning a trigger. So you will get uh, different deceptive or false messages from your brain. These messages can have the form of the thoughts, uh, feelings, body sensations, and sometimes it is doubt also can be a trigger. So all of these we call obsessions. So you get something in your mind, in your thoughts, maybe in your body, in your feelings. You get something, then this something will cause uh, worry, or it will cause some sort of distress or pain. So you get a thought or a feeling or a body sensation, then this will cause pain, distress, worry. Uh, as a response to this worry, you have developed through the years uh, a behavior. This behavior has in its intention to decrease the anxiety, to decrease the distress, to decrease the pain of the obsession. So mainly it is a three blocks diagram. You have the obsessions and then the feelings generated by these obsessions. They are pain. In OCD case, it is always pain. It is always distress. It's always something that you find it horrible or you don't want. Then you will have a response, the behavior. Your behavior to this pain, to this distress, is try to remove this distress. You want to remove it, but this is we have learned that through the years, through the development of the human beings. We always, if we have something painful, if we have something that we want to get rid of because it's painful, it causes us this distress or worry, or we don't want him, then we remove it. Then we push it, then we fight it, then we discuss with it, we negotiate it, we try to remove it, we try to get it out of our way. This is a behavior. So you get thoughts or feelings. These thoughts or feelings can cause pain. Then the natural and the automatic tendency, the automatic behavior that you will do, that you have learned through the years, is that you remove this painful or distressful thing. So you try to remove it. You try to remove it. But in fact, at the moment you remove it, especially if it is a thought, then in fact you are increasing it. You make it stronger. Okay, so we have learned a wrong behavior all these years. This behavior will decrease the anxiety, will decrease the pain, will decrease the distress that is caused by the thoughts. That means you are telling your brain, repeat this behavior because this behavior is good. It decreases my pain, it decreases my distress. So we have here a cycle of reinforcement. Your behavior will reinforce its own itself. Again, you have a thought or feelings or body sensations. We call all of these obsessions. These obsessions will cause a pain or distress. As a response to this pain and distress, you will make a behavior. This behavior, you have learned through the time that this behavior will decrease your anxiety, it will decrease your distress, but of course, you also know for a very limited time period, momentarily. It is not for a long time. This is why the next time when the same obsessions, when the same thoughts come, when the same triggers come, you will have also the uncomfortable feelings or physical sensations. You will have the comfortable feelings, and then you will try to get rid of this feeling by getting rid of the obsession. So you will do a behavior. This behavior will decrease your distress or pain, and hereby you are reinforcing your behavior. So each time this obsession comes, you will have this behavior. It will be coupled through conditioning, and that means that the obsessions mean this behavior. This obsession will mean this compulsion. Obsession, compulsion, obsessive, compulsive, and disorder. I also want to say here is that the behavior as a response to the obsession. So you have obsession, then pain, then behavior. This behavior don't have to be an external behavior. It can also be an internal behavior, mental ritual. It can be also a mental ritual. I give you one example of that is that every therapist, or maybe your mother and father, or your wife, maybe your husband, is telling you, you should neglect these thoughts. You should neglect these obsessions. This is good. Okay, this is good. If you can neglect these obsessions, it is part of the therapy. But if you insist on neglecting these obsessions, then you are fighting with these obsessions, then you are touching the content of these obsessions, and then this is in itself is an obsession. Try to insisting on accepting, insisting on neglecting these obsessions is in itself is an obsession. Insisting on neglecting the obsession is part of the therapy, but insisting on neglecting the obsession is in itself an obsession. So you are increasing the obsession. So this is why sometimes mental ritual is difficult to discover, and because it is you carry it the whole day with you. It is not like in exposure therapy that you go and expose yourself to the trigger, but with pure OCD or pure mental ritual, internal OCD, you carry the trigger the whole time, the whole day with you. You don't have to expose yourself to it because you are already exposed to it. You have only to prevent your ritual to it. But okay, we will come to that later, but it is simply now a brief explanation or commentaries over this cycle of the OCD. Also, I want to say that the cyclic model of the OCD and the model of the OCD will generate, if it is different, so each model, each description of the OCD cycle will generate different therapy. I will give you one example. Here I have said that you get the obsession, the false messages from your brain, or the deceptive messages, or these we call them obsessions. Then it will generate uncomfortable feelings, pain or distress. Most of the time it is fear. worry, anxiety. But if you put before this anxiety doubt, then you will have a different model. Not only that, if you put doubt before the deceptive brain messages, or you consider doubt in itself as a false brain message, it will make different model. This will imply you will have another form of therapy. Uh, um, it will not be 100% different, but it will be another form of therapy. There is differences. There are, if you check the proceedings or the articles or the books, then you will see that different people will have different therapy when they will have different model. So modeling is very important, but also this is also in physics or in engineering. Originally, I am also a telecommunication engineer, but later I specialized in therapy and counseling and OCD therapy. But okay, so it is maybe in another time. But the model will uh, change the form of the therapy. This is why it is important to understand, to educate yourself about the OCD. What is OCD? What is my specific OCD? So you understand cognitively, you understand what is your OCD, you know the tricks of your OCD. Of course, OCD, let us say this cycle that I have already explained, it is a very important cycle, and it is the cycle representing OCD maybe in 90% of the times. It is very important. This fear model or anxiety model is very important, and as really it is the basis of all the models. Even if you have a doubt in the process, then uh, ultimately this doubt, if it doesn't cause fear, anxiety, or pain, it has no importance. You will neglect him. You will neglect him, and you go forward. But why you get an OCD problem from this doubt? Because this doubt ultimately will generate fear. So this is important to, of course, you can also Google, or maybe I have forget something, but this is in general, this is the OCD cycle. I hope you understand that, and see you in the next film.